Oh, hello everyone. I'm Alex Navarro. Welcome to another edition of Encyclopedia Bombastica here on GiantBomb.com. Today we're going to be playing a game that I spent a lot of time playing as a kid. This is Life Force for the Nintendo Entertainment System, one of many Konami-era arcade ports of the era. I'm going to try and do this while talking, which is not as easy as perhaps it sounds. This is technically a spiritual sequel to Gradius. Gradius. I don't know what the preferred pronunciation is for that, but I like to say Gradius, so I'm gonna stick with that. Ooh, oh god, that was close. This is a scrolling shooter in the vein of many other scrolling shooters of the era. You know, very similar to Gradius. You fly the Vic Viper, which was the ship from Gradius. You have the same power-up system as Gradius, which is where you collect these little power-ups and you go through it, and there's like a cycle to it. Like, you have to build up your power-ups to get better weapons. So you start out with like a speed boost, and then you go for missiles, and then there's like a ripple gun, sort of generic laser. Eventually you get up to like a force field, and the best one, which is the option, which is just like a... it's like a little dot that shoots the same weapons you do, so it's like an extra set of stuff. The main difference between this and Gradius, I'm just saying it both ways. I can't even stay consistent about it because I don't know how people prefer to say it. We're gonna I'm sure someone in the comments will have an opinion about this. The main difference was that, while Gradius was pretty much just a you're in space, shooting stuff in space shooter, Life Force had this very biological aesthetic to it, especially in a lot of the other levels. Especially in the NES version, which was redone significantly from the original arcade version, which was originally called Salamander. And then I think became like Salamander Life Force or Life Force Salamander or something in Europe. But here in the States, when this was released back in, I don't know, 87, I think, maybe 87, 88, somewhere around there. Around that time, they redid a lot of the levels for this game, and they gave it a more consistently biological-looking kind of visual style, which I think only the first level had in the arcade version. So you're not just kind of flying around in space, though there are those levels. A lot of the time you're just kind of in these really pinky, sort of, you know, guts-looking areas, or, you know, like there's one that's kind of like shaped like a spinal column. There's another one. It's all very gross. You know, in 8-bit terms, it's very gross. Like right here, I'm about to come up on the first boss, and this dude is just a giant brain who's going to get grosser here in a second, as you'll see, as I sit here patiently waiting for him to materialize. So they changed the visual style. It's not consistent exactly. You know, here I'm shooting this brain guy, and, you know, he's all gross and stuff. I can't actually kill him yet, because there's his weak spot. It's an eye. Here's a gross-ass-looking eye popping out of this brain. Oh, yeah. There. Screw him. But then the next level, you're kind of in this, like... you're just in this asteroid field. Like, hey, check it out, here are these asteroids. And then, like, later on, you're in this fire level, which I will hopefully make it to. I haven't lost too many lives yet. But, and then there's, like, an Egypt level, for, like, no reason that I can divine, but there are a lot of random Egypt levels in games from this era, just because that was, I think, like, an easy go-to aesthetic that they could just kind of go for, and say, like, look how different this looks. Remember Pharaoh Man from Mega Man? Anyway, so, you know, Life Force was not the greatest shooter by any stretch. I mean, I think some might argue that the Gradius was a better game, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that, but I also didn't really play Gradius as a kid, which I know probably sounds sort of nuts, but it's true. I didn't. I played it in recent years, but I'd never played that game. I picked this up. I owned this game. I owned it, and it was part of my personal NES collection, which was not not that big. I don't know, I think I maybe... Until I started buying, like, old NES carts, you know, later on in life, I think I owned maybe, like, 15, 16 NES games total, which, you know, isn't a tiny amount for a kid, but at the same time, like, my collection was weird. I owned a lot of, like, I was missing a lot of the major staples of the system and the, you know, the era. Like, I never owned Metroid, I never owned Castlevania. I played them, either at friends' houses or I rented them. You know, I played a lot of those games, but I never owned them, because games were sort of... If I'm remembering correctly, games were pretty inconsistently expensive. Like, they were pricey no matter what, but, like, there was no, like, standard, necessarily, pricing model back then. You could just kind of, you know, games cost what they cost, whatever the publishers decided they needed to cost, and it wasn't always... Well, where I grew up, I mean, I didn't live in, like, a tiny town or anything. I lived in, early on, I lived in Williamsburg, Virginia, when I was, you know, mostly playing Nintendo Entertainment System games, and it was a small town, and the only place you could really buy video games in the area without driving to hell and gone to a much bigger department store was at an outlet mall. And the place that I would go to in the outlet mall that sold video games never really had, like, a consistent selection of games. Like, it was just kind of like whatever showed up there. You know, whatever came in a box that week was what they were selling. They had a lot of Sega Master System games, too, but, like, primarily they just had a lot of old Nintendo Entertainment System games. They had some Atari stuff, too. So that was where I would buy most of my games, and, you know, being, like, 7 or 8 years old, I didn't necessarily have the best perception of, you know, like, what was good versus, like, what was not so good. I just kind of winged it based on, like, pictures I had seen in Nintendo Power or, you know, whatever I just kind of felt like playing at the time, you know, when I had money to actually buy a game. So I would save up, and then I would buy, you know, whatever kind of looked good at the store. And, you know, for the most part, that worked out. Like, I think I only ended up buying, like, 2 or 3 games that I legitimately regretted over the years. And so this was, you know, I mean, despite not really being maybe the best of the scrolling shooters, it was the one I liked and the one I owned. It was the one I had. So it's like, yeah, okay, here I go from shooting giant brain guy to this spaceship-looking thing. I mean, I don't know, like, again, the aesthetic does not necessarily hold up over a long period of time. It just kind of, here are some gooey biological levels in, you know, so we can call the game Life Force, and then here's some other space stuff, because, I don't know, you're in space, you're in a ship, you should be shooting space stuff, right? Theoretically. I guess, I don't know. So here's the fire level, which is probably the best looking level in the game. It has some of the best music, too. This game does have really good music. I always really like the soundtrack to this. So you shoot these guys in a line, and you get, you know, the power-ups, and then now I've got the little option dude who's shooting an extra thing for me. You can recollect that, and I think you can get up to 2 of those guys, but it's not the easiest thing in the world to do that. Blew up some dudes. Oh. This game, like most, you know, especially the Konami, you know, sort of like shooters and arcade ports of the era, was pretty friggin' hard. Especially if you didn't have the Konami code inputted, as was the case. You know, a lot of these games, you kind of had to have that code input to even really make it through a lot of that stuff. I don't think I ever beat this game without the 30 lives code turned on. Same with Contra, which I actually bought at the same time as this. I bought this and Contra on the same day, if I recall correctly. I was like, oh, these games look neat. I ended up playing a lot more Contra, but this is, I don't know, I like this game a lot. I think maybe I beat this once in 2-player without the 30 lives code turned on, but that was it. I can't even remember when I did that. These codes, these were the things you needed to beat these games of the era, because, I mean, a lot of these games started out as arcade games, and arcade games don't want you to win. they want you to lose. They want you to keep putting quarters into them. And, you know, so they're designed with this mentality of, you know, get as far as you can, but the odds of you beating it, not so good unless you want to pump a whole bunch of money into it. And, you know, with the home versions, it's like, yeah, you bought it and you get some continues so that you're not, you know, totally screwed the way the arcade players are, but this game's still friggin' hard if you didn't have 30 lives. Like, I don't think, like I said, I'd never beat this game without 30 lives. So, you know, mock me for that if you will, but that's just kind of how, that was my thing as a kid. I never even tried. I mean, I tried, but at a certain point I just stopped trying because it just didn't make sense anymore. It was too hard. As you can see, those, since they're not the easiest things in the world to avoid, I know I'm probably just doing a bad job. I'm just doing a very bad job of this, but I'm also trying to talk and play at the same time, which is not the easiest thing in the world. Anywho, dragons. Why am I fighting dragons? Like, are they? It's like when I was a kid, I would try to like figure out what they were going for with this. Like, okay, so life force, I'm killing these living, I'm in these like living worlds, but like, why is there a dragon here? Why was that weird, you know, robot looking thing there? Like, it didn't make sense. Like, and none of these games made sense. I mean, the aesthetics of like shooters and really any kind of game like this never made a whole lot of sense. It wasn't really the point. You weren't supposed to like really pay attention to the narrative or, you know, what you were doing. It was just like, hey, here's this evil stuff, you have a ship, go, you know, go shoot it. It's a simpler time, much simpler time, where you just had to shoot dragons in the mouth while avoiding their little fireballs. Okay, so now we're back kind of in the more biologically minded stuff, and you know, the one kind of cool thing this game did was that it had both the side-scrolling and the up-to-down levels. Not that that's really that, you know, genius of a thing or anything, but, you know, there's 7. Tiny mind is easily blown. I know mine certainly was. I was an easily impressed child. I'm not saying that I was, you know, brilliant or, you know, discerning in my tastes when I was that age, but I doubt very many of us were, really. Konami made a lot of really good games around this time. You know, it was... I mean, I know that, like, you know, NES ports of old arcade games are often kind of frowned upon, because, I mean, a lot of them weren't very good. But, you know, the NES version of Contra is the version everyone remembers. You know, Gradius, Life Force, like, all that stuff. Like, that all played pretty damn well, I thought, on NES, and I love those games a lot. Oh god, this is hard. This is, oh, yeah, I biffed that one. But it's like here, we're in this, like, kind of membraney looking, you know, area. There's, like, blood platelet looking things and all sorts of other, like, just nasty body garbage going on all over the place that you gotta kill. I always just, you know... What was that movie where they shrunk the people down and they had to go in a ship in the person? I think Martin Short was in it. Space. I don't remember what that movie was, but that's what I always kind of envisioned this game was like as a kid. It was like you were shrunk down, you were inside some giant, or, you know, you were the same size, but you were inside some giant organism kind of thing. But then that doesn't really explain the Egypt level or the weird fire level or any of that stuff either, does it? No, those things. God, I hate those things. Come at you, and then eventually they start, like, reforming themselves, and it's just... It's a weird OCD kill. Like, once I got good at this game and I kind of beat it regularly, I would try and destroy as much of that stuff as I could every single time. No reason. OCD, you know, just kind of like, I want to get as much of this as I can, but, you know, now I know that's just going to kill me if I try, so I'm not going to bother. Kidney-looking things here. I don't even know what this is supposed to be. Just body stuff. Stuff. It's gross. No. Damn it. Lost my dude. Oh, and then that starts happening, so you just want to get as far away from that as possible. I take the speed bonus, but I don't think that's actually going to get me anything of note. I don't even know what that does. Like, it doesn't really make your ship faster in any noticeable way, but it doesn't really seem to make you shoot any faster either, so I don't know what the point of that one is. And now we have the laser. I like the laser. I don't shoot anything right now. I'm just gonna dodge all these. So here I am going up a rib cage for some reason. At the end of this rib cage is a giant, nasty brown skull whose eyes pop out and try to crush you. So that's fun. That's really all you have to do is just kind of hang out here at the bottom and not get shot by the lasers. It's not that hard. Other parts of this game are considerably hard. I think the Egypt level is next. Maybe if I can beat the skull, I can get to the Egypt level and you can see that real quick. But I think I'm probably going to die here because I don't have that many lives left. I have not beaten this game since I started replaying it to do this. I used to be able to kind of beat this game with my eyes closed. Well, not with my eyes closed, but, you know, without a whole lot of effort. I could just kind of get through it with 30 lives, but now I'm off my game. Super off my game. Ugh. Ugh! Skull is a jerk. Oh, yeah. Keeps trapping me over there. I don't know if I can get away from it. Oh, yeah, take that eyeball. It's gross, right? Like, this dude's eyes just start following you, and it's disgusting. Oh. Oh, this is my last life, isn't it? Oh, I did it! Yay! I hadn't beaten that guy yet. I kept getting killed on him, so that, you know, sucked, but yep, here we go. This is probably my favorite level in the game. It's the Egypt level, and I don't know why there's an Egypt level. I still don't get that, but I don't care because it looks cool. It's cool looking, has good music. That's what these games were about, was just kind of looking cool, letting you shoot cool looking stuff. Oh, I'm probably not going to get to the Egypty parts of this, am I? I'm just going to die. Oh. Oh. Yeah, that figures. Well, that was Life Force in a nutshell. I'm sorry I couldn't get through the Egypt stuff. At a certain point, you just fight a giant Tutankhamun head, which, I don't know. But I like this game a lot. It's neat. It's cool looking. Had good music. It was fun. It was a good shooter. It was on the Virtual Console. I don't know if it still is. And certainly probably not on the Wii U one, but it's worth playing if you can check it out. Once again, this has been another edition of Encyclopedia Bombastica. I've been Alex Navarro. Thanks for watching. It's fun. See you next time.